I'm done.
I'd be considered a YouTube Pokemon criminal if I didn't make a discussion video on this one. Hello everybody, Tyrone the God 3 here, and welcome to a discussion video that I probably should have done a long time ago, but have not. But I'm making it now, so it's all good, yeah. Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Now, that little sketch that you just saw where you all have first seen my face for the first time, that little sketch you all just saw was not my first reaction of the trailer. It was like a little recording I wanted to do just to start this video up. You know, I've been gone for a while. I thought I'd start that one off like that. But with that said, Gen 3 remakes. People have been asking for Gen 3 remakes since Gen 2 remakes. So I can see the hype. Gen 3 remakes have probably received like the longest anticipated like remake since ever. Which is weird because I always thought that Gen 3 really didn't need a remake. I mean, granted, don't get me wrong, I am excited to play Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because I like Gen 3. Gen 3 isn't my favorite, but I do like the generation. It brought a lot of cool concepts to Pokemon and made things a lot interesting in the world of Pokemon and kept them relatively fresh. Because I love Gen 2 to death and Gen 1, but at the pattern that they were going, Pokemon would have died out a while ago. So thank God for Gen 3 for bringing something to the mix to change it up. My history with Gen 3 was the fact that I had got Sapphire for Christmas and then Ruby a while later with the money that I got for Christmas. And I didn't end up playing Ruby a lot, so my brother ended up playing it while I was playing Pokemon Sapphire. So, yeah, we both played those games, and then later on Emerald came out, and I started playing it, and I've played that game for the longest of time. And as you all know, that because the Gen 3 didn't receive as much hype as the other gens, thanks to Pokemon Black and White, and Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and all those other videos I did during, all those other games that happened during my time of doing the Emerald LP, that's why I made the Pokemon Emerald LP in the first place, was because Gen 3 wasn't receiving a lot of attention because it was overshadowed by Gens 1, 2, and 5. So, with that said, how do I feel about this remake? I am on mix with this one. Not because of the remakes themselves. I'm glad that Gen 3 is receiving a remake. But at the same time, it makes me wonder about some things. One, I just got Pokemon X and Y. Can I please enjoy it? I mean, I know the games don't come out until November, which is the same month as my birthday, so I know what I'm getting. But still, it begs the question, what is the point of even having X and Y at this point now? They didn't even release Pokemon Z yet, the combined games between X and Y. That was supposed to probably feature Zygarde. But then again, there's no concrete proof that that game was going to exist. Hell, we all thought that Pokemon Gray was going to happen featuring Kyurem, but instead Kyurem ended up getting 2 games, Black 2 and White 2. So there's no concrete evidence for a third installment in the Gen 6 era. But Gen 6 itself hasn't had enough development yet for me to really care about a Gen 3 remake. I mean, just not as of now. I'm sure they're going to do a lot of things before November. Hell, they've got several months before Gen 3's remakes come out. So, granted, X and Y will have some time, but at the same time, once Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire come out, will anybody even be playing Pokemon X and Y for real? Now, also, granted, there's a possibility that when you get Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they will be compatible with Pokemon X and Y. So, for example, I'll be able to play this game online while battling someone who's playing Pokemon X and Y online, because this game isn't adding any new Pokemon to the roster. If anything, it's going to keep Pokemon that already exist. Now, here's the other thing, though. In terms of new Pokemon, though, I don't think there will be any relatively new Pokemon, but am probably putting money that there will be new Mega Evolutions. Now, as you can see on the screen here, Kyogre and Groudon both have these weird patterns on their bodies that were not familiar to the patterns that they've ever had before in their original games. So they're hinting at Mega Evolutions for both Kyogre and Groudon. Honestly, I think this is just a redesign. This is just a design choice that they've made in order to show that they have gained different sources of strength. I wouldn't go as far as to say Mega Evolution, because Mega Evolution changes the overall body structure, while this just shows that there's different markings on them this time. Does that really mean Mega, or is it just some power-up or redesign used to, or it could be an alternate form? But I really want to doubt that it is a Mega. A Mega Evolution is a little far to say. The only legendary Pokemon we see that's had a Mega Evolution so far is Mewtwo, and even Mewtwo shows to have drastic changes on its body when it Mega evolves. Kyogre and Groudon more or less look the same in these pictures, just with markings on them. If anything, I'd say that they're powered up items used to change their form from regular standard form to, I don't know, earth form and ocean form or something like that. Like power-ups that make them slightly more powerful than they are now. Hell, if you look at Arceus, it changes color when you give it different plates. When you look at Genesect, it changes different disc. And when you look at Giratina, not exactly a Mega Evolution, but it does change form as well. And then if you look at Xerneas in Pokemon X, when you give it, I'm guessing it has two different forms as well. One where its antlers are all blue and whatnot, and then the other form where everything's colorful on its antlers. So I wouldn't go off as to say Megas, but different forms just in general, just smaller powered up forms. So with that said, I don't think that Kyogre and Groudon are going to make any drastic changes. I think these are here just to show off the fact that these games are getting remakes, and that the Pokemon may get stronger based on the items that they hold. Much like the Lucius Orb for Palkia and the Adamant Orb for Dialga. So, yeah, that's basically what I'm putting money on myself. Will people... Oh, and this also begs the question, though. Will people be hoping for Gen 4 remakes now? I mean, at that point it gets a little ridiculous, because Gen 4 was in the era of the DS. Does it need a remake? I mean, the 3DS can still play DS games. So now, every generation of Pokemon game, with the exception of Generation 1 now, has an available slot in the 3DS. Gen 1 is the only game that can't be played on the 3DS now because of the fact that the Fire Red and Leaf Green games are on Game Boy Advance. So will they need a remake so that we can play Generation 1 on there, or will they just possibly release Fire Red and Leaf Green as possible downloadable games, which I think they really should do. I don't know what it is with Pokemon, but out of all the games that I see in the Nintendo eShop, Pokemon is the most stingy when it comes to putting games on the eShop. I don't know why they wouldn't. I mean, I'm sure people would get Pokemon Red, Blue, or Yellow if they were on the eShop. I know I would. Hell, I would definitely love to get Pokemon Gold, Silver, or Crystal on the eShop, even though I already have a physical copy of Pokemon Crystal myself. But, I'm just saying, we're missing out on some big opportunities here. And so far, every generation can be played on 3DS, on the 3DS, except for Generation 1 now. Which Generation 1 gets slightly tackled if you play Heart Gold and Soul Silver, because then you get to battle off against the Gen 1 gym leaders and the Gen 2 gym leaders. But with that said, what is the future for that? And then we go back to the main issue at hand that I have. X and Y just came out. By the time Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire come out, it literally would have only been 1 year and a month since we got Pokemon X and Y, because Pokemon X and Y came out in 2013, October 20th. Also, I talked with this with the others. I talked with this with KG Prestige and Insane Game Freak, both messaging them on Skype. And when I did that, KG Prestige pointed out that this game was announced May 7th, which was the same time that Heart Gold and Soul Silver got their announcements to be remakes, was May 7th. So May 7th is a big year motif for Pokemon. I don't know when Fire Red and Leaf Green were announced, because Fire Red and Leaf Green were in the era in which the internet wasn't so heavy for advertising video games. Like yeah, they were heavy on releasing info on video games, but this was also during the time in which like the internet wasn't the biggest source for video game info, not as of yet. Like people were still using magazines and stuff. So, now that we know of these remakes though, like I said, it begs some questions. What will people do with their Pokemon X and Ys now? Will they just discard them into the slot of their not played anymore Pokemon games on the side? Because and also with the release of the Pokemon Bank, people have already moved all of their Pokemon to Pokemon X and Y. Now we gotta move them to Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. It's too much pain and it's movement. I'm going to keep my Pokemon in Pokemon X. I'm sorry, I have to keep them there now. I'm not gonna take them and move them on to the other game. That's too much work. That's over 400 Pokemon that I'm not prepared to move. This is one of the problems I really have with remakes too. They release themselves showing themselves off as newer games when in fact they're just remakes of a game that already existed. Now that we have remakes, they're going to be the newest game. Like Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire are going to be the video games of Pokemon now. Those are going to be the games that are played instead of X and Y. All that time and effort that you put into X and Y literally means nothing now because of these remakes. Now, does this mean I'm mad at the remakes? Of course not. I love the fact that these remakes are made. People have been hoping for Omega, well, for not the exact name, but people have been hoping for remakes of Ruby and Sapphire for years, like I've stated before. People have been wanting these remakes for so long. Hell, my brother says that this is his favorite generation. The Insane Game Freak says that as well. This is going to bring a lot of hype that a lot of people have been wanting anyway. Hell, look on the internet. You can't Google image Gen 3 without seeing an image saying Gen 3 confirmed. And everybody wanted to see the Hoenn region back again in a new, fresher environment that didn't involve 16-bit or whatever bit, that 32-bit, whatever bit that the Gen 3 games were in. But as we look now, we can clearly see that they'll be taking place in a 3D world. Now, as far as Pokemon character designs, I think Pokemon's designs are probably going to be more or less the same as they are in X and Y. Like, I would not be mad if they didn't change their designs. These 3D designs for the Pokemon were hard enough to make as it is for Game Freak. So, not making a change would not surprise me. Like, I wouldn't be butthurt if the Pokemon look exactly the same as in X and Y. Like, the models take too long to make. This also begs the question, though. This begs another question. Gameplay itself. Let's talk about that for a second. Now, in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, everything more or less was the same. Just like in Gen 2 with Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. With the exception of like some kimono girls being more relative to the plot, and catching Ho-Oh and Lugia was more relative to the plot now as well, and they weren't just legendary Pokemon that you happened to catch. And so things were a lot more event heavy, and continuity was taken more into place, and there were ways that you can meet other Pokemon from different regions. We also got a good view of like extra stuff that the original games weren't able to supply us with because of memory space. So, with that said, what will be the after of these games? Ruby and Sapphire didn't include the Battle Frontier in their original forms, and we didn't get the Battle Frontier until the third installment of Gen 3, which was Pokemon Emerald. So, will the Battle Frontier make a reappearance in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire now that we've done that? Because, for example, in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there's certain things that you can do in Pokemon Crystal that weren't available in Heart Gold, that weren't available in the original Pokemon Gold and Silver games, but they are available in Pokemon Crystal. With that being said, will Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire include these iterations as well? Because they're not going to make a Pokemon Sigma Emerald. I mean, if they do, that'll be cool, but I'm just saying, like, they're not going to make a Sigma Emerald, because they didn't make, like, they made a Heart Gold and Soul Silver, but they didn't make a Spirit Crystal or anything. Like, so I know they're not going to make a third installment of a remake, because that would be kind of a bad move anyway. That'd be more or less a waste of money, if not anything else. So they're not going to make a third installment. So are they going to implement the Battle Frontier, or are they going to cut them out? I really doubt that they're going to cut them out, considering the fact that this is a newer game and this is in the Generation 6. So they kind of need that, or else they're going to shoot themselves in the foot if they don't do it. Because the Battle Frontier was a very crucial thing in Pokemon Emerald, because it expanded the world of Gen 3 and made it a lot wider because of that installment, and it made Emerald a lot more of an enjoyable game than Ruby and Sapphire, because once you were done with Ruby and Sapphire, you didn't really have much else to do. So they kind of need this. Also, as far as the weather crisis with these two deities we see right here, Groudon and Kyogre, will they end up fighting each other and you have to quell the fighting using Rayquaza and then catch Kyogre and Groudon separately? Or will they just do as they did in the original Ruby and Sapphire games and make it so you just fight Kyogre in the Team Aqua hideout and you fight Groudon in the Team Magma hideout respectively? Because if they do this, then that means that the entire weather crisis war that happened in Pokemon Emerald will not be a thing. Also, it will be prominent that you'll have to fight either Team Aqua or Team Magma now, instead of having to fight both of Team Aqua and Team Magma like you did in Emerald version. Will the split make more of a difference, and what Pokemon will be available to catch? But in the end, does it really matter? Because if the Pokemon Bank and the Pokemon Transfer System already exist in Pokemon X and Y, I'm pretty sure that you can just trade Pokemon over to Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. At this point, I'm pretty sure that there's no real issue with Pokemon being, with the Pokemon numbers being a thing. Like, back then, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, when they came out remixed, that was a big deal, because at this point there was still no way to catch all of the Pokemon in the Pokedex. But at this point, with the release of the Pokemon Transfer System that is online, transferring Pokemon on here isn't really going to be a challenge. It's just going to be, oh, well, I'm starting my Alpha Sapphire. Let me transfer my Pokemon from one game to the other real fast so that I can get everything I want. It won't be an issue then. But who knows? Excuse me, I have a little nose thing as well. But back to the subject matter at hand. Also, the only thing I can really think of them adding as far as Pokemon in this game, not new Pokemon within themselves, because Heart Gold and Soul Silver didn't do that, but the only thing I can see that's a definite add-on to this game that would make it stand out more, to me, like just Pokemon-wise, not gameplay-wise, the only thing I could see that would add on to this would be to add Pokemon with Mega Evolutions. Like more Pokemon with Mega Evolutions. Because so far in this game, the Pokemon that can Mega Evolve in Gen 3 include Gardevoir, Absol, Mawile, Aggron, and Blaziken. Those are the 5 Hoenn Pokemon, I believe, that can Mega Evolve. Correct me if I'm wrong, there probably are some others. But as far as I'm concerned, those are the Pokemon I know that can Mega Evolve within the confines of this game. That's only 5, which means that if you... Oh, and Maynetrix, excuse me. I forgot about Maynetrix. So there's 6. That means if you were to catch a Maynetrix on your way to... Where's Maynetrix? Maynetrix is located near I think Malvahall City. Yeah, I think in that area. So if you were to catch, or Electrike is, I know Electrike is. So if you were to catch an Electrike and evolve it all the way into Manetrix, and then be able to Mega Evolve it somehow, anybody with an Electrike has an advantage. Anybody who catches Torchic, or gets a Torchic, has an advantage. Anybody who catches Aron, or Absol, or Mawwall have an advantage now because of Mega Evolution. So, what are we going to do? Are we going to add more Megas? Or are they going to take the Heart Gold and Soul Silver route and make it... Or no, not the Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Or are they going to take the Fire Red and Leaf Green route and make it so the Pokemon can't evolve? Like, for example, in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, you can have a... What was it? You can have a certain Pokemon, but that Pokemon can't evolve until you've unlocked the Pokedex for that region, and then it can evolve into said Pokemon. As in, like, or a better example would be in Heart Gold and Soul Silver. I believe you couldn't really evolve your Apom into Ambipom until later on. Or, a better example would be in Fire Red and Leaf Green, when you evolve your Zubat into Golbat, your Golbat will not be able to evolve into Crobat at all until you've unlocked the rest of the Pokedex. And even still, you may have to trade it over, because I think Golbat will only evolve if it likes its trainer and its knight. So, with that said, there's going to be some flaws. And also, will they be able to add night and day back into this picture? Because when Gen 3 came out, there were some things that it did that I didn't necessarily agree with. Like taking away the night and day feature that was introduced into Pokemon Crystal, which was necessary for Pokemon like Eevee to evolve into Umbreon or Espeon. But with no day or night system in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald, Eevee was unable to evolve into those stages, forcing it to reduce itself to Jolteon, Vaporeon, or Flareon. So, yeah, those were the issues there. So, how will evolution work? Will Mega Evolution just not be a thing until the second half of the game, after you've beaten the main game? Or will they be able to do this? And I want to say that this is a thing, but they need to be careful when they implement this, because at that point, that would mean that they have to implement it for the other generations too. Mega Evolution for new Pokemon. For example, Mega Evolution for like Swellow, or Mega Evolution for, say, what's some other Pokemon I can think of? Mega Evolution for like Camerupt, or Pelipper, or, I don't know, Ninjagas. Like, Mega Evolutions for other Pokemon, that way it balances out and makes sense. Because at this point, there's two Pokemon I know should receive a Mega Evolution now. Mudkip and Trico have to get Megas. If they don't, then it's unfair. Either that, or they're not going to implement a Mega Evolution until the second half of the game. But even still, that raises the question, how come Torchic's the only one that gets a Mega? Because Mudkip and Trico don't have a Mega, instantly making them the less desirable choice between the three if Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were to implement Mega Evolution within the game. And I say that this is a risk because if they were to give Hoenn Pokemon, just a large array of Hoenn Pokemon, Mega Evolutions just for this game, then they have to do it for Sinnoh Pokemon, Johto Pokemon, Unova Pokemon, and Kanto Pokemon. They need to do it for those, or else it wouldn't be fair and it wouldn't make sense. And so far from what I've seen, the Kalos region and the Unova region are the only two regions that don't have any Mega Evolutions added on to them. There are no Pokemon in either of these regions that have Mega Evolution. And I'm confused as to why. I think Sinnoh has a Mega, if I'm not mistaken. I think, I'm almost 100% sure Sinnoh has Megas. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I know that Gen 3 has Megas, Gen 2 has Megas, and Gen 1 has Megas. Oh, I forgot, there is one more Pokemon, Medicham. Medicham is the other Pokemon I was thinking of that has a Mega. So Medicham has a Mega. So as far as we're concerned, Gens 1, 2, and 3 have Megas. But Gens 4, 5, and 6 don't. The question is why? Oh, my fault. Gen 4 does have a Mega. I forgot about Lucario. Yeah. So, yeah, Gens 1 through 4 have Megas. Gens 5 through 6 don't. Here's the question. Why? And I know this is coming off as more of a rant than a discussion to me. Well, to you all. But I'm excited. I can't wait for Pokemon Omega, Ruby, and Alpha Sapphire to come out. But it, like I said, it raises questions is all. See, I didn't question Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Well, one, because it's a little bit of bias. I love Gen 2. And the routes that Gen 2 took, other than taking out the slot machine, I don't know why they did that. I guess because of gambling, whatever. The routes that Gen 2 took were routes that were easily implemented into the game and didn't cause much confusion until you caught some Pokemon that you knew evolved and had evolutions in the Sinnoh region, but didn't receive evolutions in the game until you beat the main game and move on to the second half. So yeah, that's what happened in between Heart Gold and Soul Silver. But so yeah, it's not even just that I have a thing and they'll rant against this. I have a rant against remakes in general, because remakes are something that you really have to take into account. What does the future look like? What are they going to do differently in these games that the originals did, that the originals didn't do? What are you going to do now with this new technology for the remakes that you weren't able to do back then? Now that every gen except Gen 1 has a remake, how is Gen 1 going to receive any attention now? Are you going to make remakes? Are you going to try and make it so every generation is at least on the 3DS now? So we'll have, I don't know, we'll have Breaking Diamond and Crushing Pearl or something? Like, what's the future hold for remakes? I don't have anything against Pokemon remakes. I like the fact that, or remakes in video games in general, it's a good way to bring back the old and give it a nice new touch and give players a chance to play it if they didn't have the systems necessary to play them at first. But you gotta understand, there's risks to bringing in remakes. I guess I should I shouldn't come off so heavy on these, because people have been hoping for them. And like I said, I'm on the hype train all the way. I love the fact that the Gen 3 has remakes. And I'm definitely going to pick up Alpha Sapphire. And maybe buy Omega Ruby just because. I'm excited for these remakes. I can't wait to see how the third gen comes in. Will we be able to do a lot of the things that Gen 6 brought onto the picture? We can already see that the Pokemon's models are going to be in 3D. Will we be allowed to change clothes and look however we want? Or are we going to go backwards a few and stick with Brendan or whatever the character's name is that is the standard male character for Pokemon Emerald? Or will Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire work on par with X and Y? Like, will the two be able to trade off with each other? This is 3DS. We are able to use DLC. DLC will be the thing that links these games together. A DLC event for like a new Pokemon could come out that allow us to switch between both games or something. Like, maybe this isn't the end for X and Y just as of now, but a good beginning for both games to connect together. Because I want to at least enjoy X and Y before I discard it to play Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And I don't think I've had enough time to enjoy my X and Y yet. Hell, if you stop to think about it, Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, as well as Black 1 and White 1, didn't even last that long because of the release of X and Y. It's as if to say that most of the focus was on X and Y, only to cut it down to make these remakes. Like I said, I don't want to make this sound like a rant, but these are questions that have to be asked. That's just all I have, is questions. And I'm pretty sure the questions will be answered as the months go by and we get more trailers other than just Groudon using Drought and Kyogre using Drizzle. This is another reason why I don't make a lot of prediction videos as well. Because I start asking questions and the video becomes more or less about me asking questions instead of discussing. But that's kind of what prediction videos are. A bunch of questions. Will they be able to implement this? How will this affect this? What will they do about this? Hell, when I was on the Skype and I messaged KG asked me, like, what will they do Pokemon X and Y anime-wise? Because in the anime, they do have a way of calling back to the fact that other games have existed. In the Battle Frontier, around the time that Fire Red and Leaf Green were out, Ash was able to battle with Squirtle, Charizard, Bulbasaur, and Pikachu to call back to the fact that Kanto region, as a callback to the Kanto region when Ash actually used those Pokemon. So, yeah, I can see how the anime can come into play. Ash used a lot of his older Pokemon. And in Diamond and Pearl, when Ash was battling in the Sinnoh region, he used a lot of his Johto Pokemon as a callback to the Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So I can see exactly where these are coming from, and it does raise some questions. I just hope that May comes back, but I really doubt that. And hell, character redesigns. On top of that, the fact that we're probably going to end up being able to change our characters' costumes. So does that mean new costumes? Does that mean we can trade over costumes from each games? Who knows? But with the use of DLC and the use of our memory being saved on there, we can transfer stuff back and forth from Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire to X and Y. Who knows? So I'm sorry this was a lot of ranty-based questions, but that's what I get. That's how I get in prediction videos, which is one of the reasons I don't do a lot of them. Because predictions bring out questions in me. I'm not upset at the fact that these remakes are being made. No, I'm happy. But one thing I know they better do is that they better give Trico and Mudkip some Megas. If they don't, then Torchic has an unfair advantage. And if they don't, the only other option for them to make this balanced is to just not introduce Megas until the second half of the game anyway. But I think I've gone on long enough here because I've had questions. But with that said, I'll see you all then, everybody. Tyrone the God 3 out. You all have a wonderful day, evening, night, whatever have you.